Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Swigs Talks Football, and today we're looking at, again, it's you guessed it, it's another prediction show for you today. So, without further ado, we're going to get straight right into this, get stuck in, and we're going to kick things off with the United City of Manchester derby this weekend. So, as it stands as of this recording, it's still 0-0. So bear with me on while I hopefully get the predictions right, and the video will be out to you just before the second half kicks off. With this game, United coming in off the back, having previously played Burnley, and Man City coming off the back of them having recently played Brighton. Both sides looking to get going. As of this recording, City have signed, well, all but signed really, Mark Gay from Crystal Palace, which is a savage signing. You know, £20 million that they managed to get him for is peanuts really in this day and age. But it remains to be seen whether or not, when the likes of Guardiola and Diaz come back from injury, can he cement himself in that really, really strong City defence. On the opposite side of Man City, we have United, who seem to have put their faith in Michael Carrick as of now as an interim boss. We'll see if he can do any bit of success for them. I know there was talks of Ole going back at the wheel, but they've opted to go for the former Middlesbrough coach in Michael Carrick, and so we will see how he gets on with that. That being said, it's an almighty test for United and Carrick stepping into the hot seat in Manchester derby nonetheless. With that being said, I can see that it'll be a good game. Neither side will probably want to give up too much early on, but I can see Man City pulling away. They'll have too much firepower for the likes of United to be handling and dealing with as well. I believe also that Maguire is back in selection for United this game week, so it'll be interesting to see if he starts or if he gets brought on at all. And if he does start, Haaland will have a field day with him. Um, not That's not my only reason why I'm going to go with Man City win, but it's one of many. I think City just have too much firepower up top, and that they will wipe the floor with United as the game goes on. That being said, I'm still going to go with a 2-1 win. 2-1 to Man City. Next up, we have a West London derby in Chelsea versus Brentford. Chelsea having appointed Liam Senior now. He'll look to kick on his league form and look to kick on Chelsea's league run as well. It seems that Chelsea kind of went up and down a little bit this season under Maresca. They seem to be having really good spells, and they went down spells. Now we'll see what Rosenior seems, what his Chelsea will look like. Also, worth knowing that they're in the market for a centre half, so it'll be interesting to see over the next couple of weeks who they get in for that. Because no doubt they will sign someone. Brentford, on the other hand, Brentford have been a steady Eddie. They have been, and it's been looking like their steadiness has been propelling them up the table into European places. Igor Thiago seems to be on fire, having become the all-time top goal scorer from Brazil in the league so far with 16 goals, I believe. I could have that wrong, but that's from what I can remember. So, and he does not seem to be looking like he's slowing down anytime soon. So Brentford will have their hands full trying to hold on to him in this, not in this window, but especially in the summer. That being said, it'll be an entertaining game. I feel it'll be back and forth. I feel Brentford will go to Stamford Bridge knowing that they can get a result, and that is why I'm going to go with a Brentford 2-1 win against Chelsea. Spurs then up against West Ham. The El Sacico, I have seen some pundits say that this game is. I don't personally believe it's an El Sacico at all. Don't know where they're getting that from. I think it's just media hype for the game. Although that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if, for instance, West Ham lost this game, that they did part with Nuno, but I can't see Spurs parting with Thomas Frank as of this moment, even if the result does go pear-shaped. That being said, Spurs have newly signed Gallagher in the middle of the park. We badly needed him after Bentancur's injuries, and as well as that, just we need someone like him. He's better than what we have, but he's not the solution. That's what a lot of Tottenham fans seem to be saying. And in my opinion, I think he's a complete upgrade on what we currently have. I think that he'll give us an engine like a Ferrari. The only thing is we play football like we are a Fiat Punto. you know, we're fine, does the job in parts, but we kind of want to be playing a little bit more. We kind of want to be playing a little bit more flashier, shall we say? But that being said, I do think Spurs will have too much for West Ham, even as they are at home. The Spurs fans will be creating a tough environment for West Ham to come into, and maybe that will rub off on Spurs players themselves as well. Who knows? It'll test their steel and to see if they can pick themselves up and actually put in a good performance in a derby, as we have not done so in a long while at all. So, with that being said, I am going to go Spurs 3-1 win against West Ham, but don't be surprised if this is a 1-all slugfest of a draw either. It's more or less for hope. I'm hoping for a 3-1 win. Next up, Sunderland and Palace. Sunderland, the shock of the season so far, in terms, I'd say, of most people's eyes, on how well they've performed. They've been doing savage well. Even with all their players, a lot of their players missing due to AFCON, they have been really shocking us with results. With results in the last few weeks or so. The same cannot be said for Palace, though, with now this week that Glasner is leaving at the end of the season. You have the likes of Mark Gahey, who's now left for Man City. No, I would not be surprised if the likes of Adam Wharton and Mateta are end up leaving as well. Wharton maybe in the summer, as I can see that Mateta might be heading for Turin with Juventus hovering and sniffing around him to try and get him in the door, as he's also said it in the past that he'd like to go to Italy, and although he did say AC Milan, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to either one of those clubs. Maybe not AC Milan now because they signed Fulkrug on loan, but for Juventus this window. If that happens, then come next season, Palace I feel will find themselves struggling. But they could do a Brentford on it, hire someone who we all write off, and surprise us all. Who knows? But that's going too far in the future. As of right now, we're looking at the predictions. So I am going to go with a 2-1 win for Sunderland. I think they'll have just too much for Palace at home. And yeah, Sunderland just look like a really solid unit. That's what they do. Next up, we have Liverpool. Excuse me, my eye is itchy. It must. Oh, Liverpool versus Burnley. So we have this should be a relatively straightforward test for Liverpool. I can see them being comfortable winners, really. Burnley can't really see them troubling them, Liverpool too much. And so yeah, so I'm gonna go a Liverpool 3-0 win on that. Next up, we have Leeds versus Fulham. This, I think, is actually going to be a very interesting game, very entertaining game. I think Fulham have been putting in some really good performances as of late. They played Chelsea, obviously, last week, so before the FA Cup um, games during the week. And I feel like they did put in a good enough performance for that. In fairness to them, Leeds, on the other hand, then as well, they have been putting in some really good performances also as of themselves. They're at home, so I do feel there'll be a really good performance from Leeds. However, I do think it'll be a Desmond 2-all draw between the two. Next up, we've Forest then and Arsenal. So Sean Dyche welcomes Mikel Arteta's side, who during the week beat Chelsea in a cracking 3-2 win at Stamford Bridge. Arsenal, they just look like the steam engine. They just look like they keep going and going and going. And obviously, it seemed like they were in for Mark Gahey as well, which have just sorted them again in the back. But I don't really think they needed them, to be honest. I think they're well stacked already in that department. That being said, I do think on the predicts for this weekend, I'm going to go on Arsenal 2-0 win against Forest. I think Forest have a lot of work still to do in order to get themselves trying to get out of that relegation battle at the bottom of the table. But I think Arsenal, they'll just have too much. They'll have too much form. Forest will start off well, but I think Arsenal's class, especially in midfield, it'd be interesting to see how the likes of Anderson goes up against Declan Rice and Odegaard. I think that'll be a really interesting test for the young 23-year-old Forest midfielder, to see how he copes with Rice. As much as it pains me to say, he has elevated his game even more so. Declan Rice this year, has really, really kicked on, and more luck to him in that sense. Um, but yeah, so overall, Arsenal have too much for Forest, and I'm going to go 2-0 win for them. Next up, we have Wolves versus Newcastle. Wolves during the FA Cup. obviously had a cracking result against Shrewsbury, winning 6-1. Could this be the sign of things to come for Rob Edwards' team? Could this kick on their results now? No, I would say. But you never know. You never know. 'Cause they go, or sorry, they host the Newcastle, the Geordies. They host Newcastle tomorrow on Sunday. Newcastle will be looking to go and get a result. They have, again, Eddie Howe's had a mixed enough season, ups and downs again, some good results, some poor enough displays and poor results as well. My mind immediately goes to the Sunderland derby, where they didn't turn up at all. That being said, I do think Newcastle have too much again going forward for them, for Wolves, and it'll be a 2-1 win, I think, to Newcastle. However, I do think that Wolves will put in a much better performance. I do think Strand Larson will score just because it's kind of it seems like it's written. He was linked to Newcastle in the summer for I think it was about 55 million or so. Maybe it's a sign now that he'll score and then he might sign then in next summer. Also worth noting in a very bleak season for Wolves, but one positive shining light seems to be their young teenage forward. Mane, he looks really, really good. Really, really like the look of him. Really rapid, trickery. Seems like he's really taking his chances. So be interesting to see how he gets on and maybe keep an eye out on him going forward as well. Next up, we have Villa versus Everton. A clash where I see it being a good goal fest, but it only in the favour of Aston Villa, really. Villa, obviously, last time out, they faced Palace. They'll be looking to kind of kick on a little bit from that. They obviously knocked Spurs out of the FA Cup during midweek. Spurs didn't really test them too much, if I'm being perfectly honest. I wasn't really impressed with us and performance, but that's just same broken record I've been saying for the last 6, 7 months nearly at this rate. Um, but yeah, so I think that Villa will have too much for Everton. I really Everton are one of the other teams I really do like. I like Moyes. I like how he sets up his team, and with Everton, you never really know what you're going to get, I suppose, in terms of you know what you're going to get in terms of a defensive outlet, but it's from midfield up. I feel they could end up scoring 3 goals, but then you don't really they could end up scoring none. So it's kind of a toss up, really. I do think it'll be a tough game. I think the midfield battle will be a really good test between the likes of McGinn and Gardner now in that the two sixes, I suppose. From there, or maybe they'd be playing more as an eight, depending on how they set up. But I am going to go with a Villa 3 at Everton 1. Next and final game then we have is Brighton versus Bournemouth. This has all the makings, I believe, to be either a snooze fest or a bums off the chair kind of game. I think Bournemouth, having sold and lost Semenyo now to Man City, will be looking to probably bring in someone who can fill that void for them going forward. Brighton, on the other hand, they've already brought back in Pascal Gross, former player of theirs, who's made well over 200 appearances, I think, for the club. So it'll be interesting to see if he starts their game now against Bournemouth, against the Cherries. But that being said, I'm going to go with a 2-all draw. I think that'll be a good game to watch. I do think. I do think going forward, both teams seem attacking, and with set pieces as well. I do think that Brighton maybe can cause Bournemouth more upset for the set pieces, whereas on the attacking front, I think Bournemouth maybe just trump Brighton that little bit more. Um, but yeah, so those are my game week 22 predictions. Let me know what you think down below. Do you think Spurs could potentially win a derby in London? Who's to say they can't? Probably a lot of Spurs fans, including this guy. But I didn't because I'm being optimist today and saying that Spurs will win 3-1 against West Ham. Will United upset Man City? Could they put a dent in their title runs? Who knows? Maybe. Highly doubtful. Highly doubtful. I think Haaland will just eat up the United's defense completely, and beat them on that. And one other game I'm gonna think that might cause a bit of upheaval. I do think again it goes back to Brentford Chelsea. I think Brentford will do comfortably well against Chelsea in that game also. So thanks very much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts on my predictions are. What are your predictions down below in the comment section? Please, if you like the video, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button as well. I know I said in the last video that I was meant to do some Spurs transfer news, but I haven't gotten around to doing that, so apologies for that. Hopefully this week, and even later today after the Spurs game, I might get on that also. If you're new, click the red button, that big lovely subscribe button. Follow also. I know I have it, don't have it down here on the Twitter. Don't have that changed as of yet, or have that up and running, but I will also be up and running with hopefully a new TikTok account as well. So TikTok will be maybe more shorter clips, just giving my kind of initial reactions and little transfer news, views, and clues, all on those kind of things as well as these prediction videos. So yeah, if you like the video, drop a thumbs up. Much appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, and let's hope Spurs bring 3 points home. Come on, you Spurs. Thanks very much.